seconds.
For your own safety, we hope everyone is seated because, as Rachel said, these are some real closings coming up starting at the top of this next hour. And for that, we're going to swing outside to what we've always affectionately referred to as home ice advantage. It's 7 o'clock in the east, and here are the first projections of election night 2016. In the state of Georgia, we are calling it too close to call. 16 electoral votes. Both parties were fascinated like a hurricane with a last-minute wobble before coming on shore. Both parties want it very badly. In Virginia, ditto, 13 electoral votes. Too early to call, simply not enough vote, though we're told Clinton is in an early lead. Here is the first projection in the Trump column of Decision 2016. That is the state of Indiana, home, obviously, of his running mate, Mike Pence, the governor there currently, 11 electoral votes. Indiana, we are projecting, goes to Donald Trump, as does Kentucky. 8 electoral votes there. That's 2 in a row for Donald Trump. We also have the first projected state for Hillary Clinton. And look, of all places, it's Bernie Sanders, Vermont. 3 electoral votes, but the first nonetheless. Our electoral temperature, if you will, all evening long, we're going to be tracking up the side of our building. South Carolina just added too early to call, though Donald Trump in an early lead. Too early to call means we simply don't know enough. And down onto the ice we go. The race to 270. It's 3 for Clinton, 19 for Trump. We don't have much red or much blue quite yet. But I want to take a look inside here in our big wall at some of the Senate races, the early important name Senate races where we have projections. Recognize Rand Paul from the Republican primary process. He is returning to the U.S. Senate, Republican representing the state of Kentucky. Tim Scott is going back to the United States Senate, South Carolinian, Republican, and in Vermont, what's projected to be a victory of about 30 or so points for Pat Leahy. He'll be heading back, the veteran Democrat from the state of Vermont. And the United States Senate is going to be a moving target all night long. Chuck Todd is pretty convinced that if we determine control of the Senate, it will be an hour followed by. Here are in gold on the board the 7:30 closings, and 7:30 has arrived. We have the first return will be Ohio, too close to call. Valuable 18 electoral votes. North Carolina, we were just discussing it, too early to call. Simply not enough raw result in. West Virginia, on the other hand, gets added to the Trump pile. 5 electoral votes. Speaking of electoral votes, let's see where they stack up. The night is young. There's our electoral vote thermometer there. Donald Trump in the lead, 24-3. Of course, 270 needed to go up and over. The races we're watching, just wanted to let you know where they are. State of Georgia, still too close to call. Very early percentage of raw vote in. Commonwealth of Virginia, too early to call. And despite how these numbers might look, our tally has Clinton in the lead, while the state is too early to call. And in South Carolina, too early to call, and our tally has Trump in the lead there. So let's look at the red and blue map, starting to fill in a little bit, though there were very few real results here at 7:30. See, not so much a red wall as a kind of Louisiana-shaped squiggle through the middle of the country. And so far, Hillary Clinton, one called state. Rob Portman will be returning to the U.S. Senate to represent the state of Ohio. And wow, has that race been through a lot of changes. He had a huge target on his back. Here's the North Carolina Senate race Rachel was talking about. Too close to call at this hour. Whole lot of people watching that one. And the U.S. Senate composition right now is about like that. But again, that's that's the real moving target tonight. That's going to be all over the place.
That Senate race in North Carolina has been so fascinating to watch. Deborah Ross is the Democratic challenger here. She was not seen as the Democrats' top recruitment target for that seat.
That resonated. I think the fact that Roy Blunt's been around so long actually worked against him in this race.
Senator, forgive me. I have to interrupt. We have a projection. South Carolina now on the board for Donald Trump. 9 electoral votes there. Let's take a look at the road to 270 in map form as South Carolina takes its place as a red state. This just came in at the end of the senator's last answer there.
Senator, apologize for that. But this tells us the overall electoral numbers at this point. At this point, 4 states called for Donald Trump: Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, and West Virginia. 1 state called thus far for Hillary Clinton. We're about to hear from a number of states at 8 o'clock, including Senator McCaskill's home state of Missouri. Senator, let me ask you to finish your thought there about Jason Kander and Roy Blunt.
We have 16 states in the District of Columbia here as we approach this hour. We have a lot of more projections as we approach this hour. And let's do it. 8 o'clock Eastern time. Let's go outside to Rockefeller Plaza. Up the side of the building we go. The state of Florida. We have as too close to call 29 electoral votes. Pennsylvania, too early to call, 20 electoral votes. New Hampshire, too early to call, 4 highly fought over electoral votes. Illinois goes to the Clinton column. Of course, the home originally of Hillary Clinton. Big state, 20 electoral votes, part of the blue wall, as is New Jersey, the most densely populated state in the union with 14 electoral votes. That goes to Clinton, as does the Bay State, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, 11 electoral votes. Adding to the Trump bloc in the South is Tennessee. We're projecting that when all the votes are counted, he will receive those 11 electoral votes. Maryland, reliably Democratic Maryland, goes to Hillary Clinton, 10 electoral votes there. Alabama, 9 electoral votes going to Trump. Oklahoma out in the Midwest will go to Donald Trump, 7 electoral votes. Back up we go to New England, the state of Connecticut, the nutmeg state, 7 electoral votes going to Hillary Clinton. Mississippi, way down south, going to Donald. We have awarded it to Donald Trump. Rhode Island, we keep whipsawing back up north to New England, and part of our story is in this whipsaw, actually. 4 electoral votes from the great state of Rhode Island. Delaware to Hillary Clinton, home state of Joe Biden, going to Hillary Clinton. The District of Columbia, longer talk we could have about taxation without representation there, going to Hillary Clinton. The state of Missouri, we were just hearing from Senator McCaskill. We have this as too early to call, with Clinton leading the... Okay, Trump is leading in Missouri, too early to call, with Trump out front. And in the state of Maine, too early to call, with Clinton in the early lead. Let's go to those other races we are watching so far. 75-66 in the race to 220 in electoral votes. It's early yet. And here is how the map looks. We've just added in some more red, and we've just added in some more blue. But a map maker or a political scientist looking for a trend, looking for regions, looking for who we are as a country, you're starting to see that ink blot test. Here are the races we are still watching. This one got a lot of attention just lately after their last debate. Tammy Duckworth, a decorated combat veteran, turning away the incumbent in this race.
This is important, not only because of who Tammy Duckworth is. This is important because this is the Democrats ousting an incumbent Republican senator who is running for re-election. This will add to the Democratic total in the Senate in a way that could potentially be determinative in the end. Democrats will need 4 seats if Hillary Clinton wins the presidency. They'll need 5 seats if Donald Trump wins the presidency in order to take control control of the Senate chamber. Mark Kirk, as an incumbent, you would think would have an advantage, but he's a Republican senator in a blue state, and he ran a, forgive me, I don't mean it in a mean way, he ran a bad campaign.
15-point advantage there for Trump.
Steve Kornacki at the board, thanks. And we have another projection right there next to Steve in the big board. Marco Rubio and Nicole Wallace, I'm looking at you. Will get to be one of the Republicans from the long process you guys went through who gets to give an acceptance speech tonight.
He could be the only Republican who ran for president who gives a victory speech.
Well, we got Rand Paul.
Well, okay, so we may have a couple, but here, I want to bring Mark Kirk back into this because the other laboratory of sort of political strategies that we'll be able to chew on in the coming days is what was the best way to deal with Trump. Mark Kirk distanced himself from Trump immediately, and he was personally affected.
We are back here at beautifully decorated Rockefeller Plaza. Still early in the evening, 8:19 Eastern time, but we have enough calls, especially in some of these Senate races. We thought you would walk us through what we know, starting with this projection, the incumbent returning, well-known, longtime Republican Senator Richard Shelby of Alabama is going back to the U.S. Senate. In Connecticut, longtime, well-known Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal. This is going to end up being like a 30-point margin. He's going back. Chris Van Hollen in Maryland. This is the Mikulski seat. A lot of politicos are saying basically you can hang on to this for a long, long time. She was the senior most serving woman in the U.S. Senate when she retired. And Langford, the projected winner, the incumbent in the state of Oklahoma, the ruby red state of Oklahoma. Democrats up one because of that Tammy Duckworth pickup in Illinois. And we were just talking about North Carolina, which brings us to Steve at the board.
Well, let's take a look at the vote. It's coming in now, so you...
Over to the big board, we had a call while Steve was speaking. This is a hold for the GOP. Todd Young, Indiana Senate.
This is a Senate seat that it's very interesting on this. This is the Republican incumbent left this seat, decided to retire. That was Dan Coates. The Republicans nominated Todd Young after a little bit of a primary fight there. The Democrats did not nominate Evan Bayh. In the Democratic primary process, they picked a guy named Barron Hill. After the primary was over, he stepped aside so Evan Bayh could come back in because they thought that he would be a shoo-in, basically, as a household name, as the person who...
Projection there. Here's the 8:30 poll closing, and that would be the state of Arkansas. The state of Arkansas, home to Bill Clinton and, for a time, Hillary Clinton, goes tonight to Donald Trump, part of the Red Wall. The Republicans are amassing 6 electoral votes. Here's the race to 270 early in the evening. Hillary Clinton 75-72. Back inside here to a big projection, a kind of big picture projection about our form of government, and that is that the GOP will remain in control of the House of Representatives. That means that when the House begins its next session, Paul Ryan of Wisconsin certainly hopes to be their leader, and further, he hopes to be the Speaker of the House.
And that raises a bunch of immediate questions, and it answers some questions,
right.
Obviously.
Let's go outside and begin this thing. Here are the states we are watching at 9 Eastern. It's a long list. Get ready. Michigan, too close to call. Arizona, too early to call. 11 electoral votes. Wisconsin, too early to call. Colorado, too early to call. Texas has been awarded to Donald Trump. Texas stays red, as does Kansas. No wobble there. Sportsman Paradise, Louisiana, 8 electoral votes, projected to Donald Trump. Nebraska, projected to Donald Trump. The state of New York, reliably blue, and its 29 electoral votes stays with Hillary Clinton. North Dakota, Trump. To go with it, South Dakota, Trump. In the Rockies, Wyoming, 3 electoral votes. Trump. Minnesota. Too close to call at this hour. New Mexico, and this was fascinating to see the action out there. Too early. Clinton leading. Let's look at our bar graph and look at the only numbers that really matter tonight, and that is the race to 270. And right now, Donald Trump is leading that 137 to 104.
Donald Trump more than halfway there to 270.
Except for that one South Carolina, all connected.
That is the red wall of the GOP from north to south and almost from east to west. We're waiting for the Western time zones, obviously. Yep. Back inside here in the studio, we have a Senate call to make, and we have 2 people here at the desk who know and worked for this guy. John McCain, who had a primary challenge, who will be 86 years old at the end of his new 6-year Senate term, has been reelected to the Senate. Steve Schmidt, Nicole Wallace. Steve, you first.
Well, I think thrilled about it. Great news. I remember when you talk about John McCain being...
And they are being heard tonight. 10 o'clock hour is 5 seconds away. Here we go.
States here. This is
in gold. There they are. Here are the closings. This hour, it is 10 p.m. in the state of Iowa. Our call for right now is too close to call. In the state of Nevada, our call for this hour is too close to call. In the state of Utah, and remember, favorite son in the race, 3-way, too early to call. Clinton, Trump, McMullen. In the state of Montana, the Big Sky State goes to Donald Trump. So that red band, that red wall continues its trek west with the time zones. Here's the electoral race, 140, 104. Here is the and red on Democracy Plaza. Here's your country so far. The states we've been able to call as the time zones head from east to west. You can see the big states we are waiting for.
Utah is such an interesting case study. Not even a case study. Utah is its own case, its own standalone politics and dynamics this year. If Evan McMullen is able to win the state of Utah tonight, and again, our call right now is that Utah is too early to call, and it is a 3-way race between Trump, Clinton, and McMullen. If he wins Utah, that would be the first time a third-party candidate or an independent candidate gets electoral votes since George Wallace, right? 1968? I mean, this is, if he can actually win that state, there's obviously Evan McMullen is not going to win the presidency, but if he...
We have a call. This projection, New Mexico is going to Hillary Clinton. Remember the hubbub when Donald Trump showed up in New Mexico a few days before the election? Everyone said, what do they know? What do they know? Both parties, what do they know? Here's the electoral map, 140, 109, with New Mexico now
5 electoral votes there, yeah.
That will give them a patch of blue to the west of Texas. So there's your map. Mr. Kornacki, please continue. Apologies.
No problem. I understand. So we are talking...
Hang on, I got a projection. NBC News is projecting that when all the votes are counted, Donald Trump will be the winner in Missouri. 10 electoral votes. Another piece in the Midwest and another patch of red. The race to 270 looks like this, 150, 109. Let's look at Missouri on the map.
Thank you.
Steve Kornacki, can I ask you one impressionistic question in terms of what you've been watching tonight? No, I can't.
Oh,
you there,
I'm here.
Steve?
Yes, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We are back. We have a major call coming out of the vote. We'll try to get it up there, and it is Ohio. Donald Trump, the projected winner in the state of Ohio. 18 electoral votes. A hugely important piece of real estate where that comparison is concerned. 168, 109 in the race to 270. Here's where it looks like, this is where it looks like as a color, filling in the red alongside Indiana to the west of Pennsylvania.
And it has been so for a very long time. Even right now, with 83% of the vote in, it is still too close to call Trump in the lead. But we were talking a little bit earlier on about the other two big ticket races in North Carolina. One of them, this Senate race, Richard Burr, incumbent Republican senator, trying to hold on to his seat against Deborah Ross, who ran a good campaign against him. Burr is now the projected winner of that seat. He will hold on to that seat. The other big ticket item,
trying to fall back and catch up with these Senate races this evening, is Michael Bennet returning from Colorado. There will be
Democratic incumbent there.
Inevitable talk about Michael Bennet joining leadership, I think, in the years to come. A very popular figure. And more about Colorado as a state after this. The leader of the Democrats predicted, people guess it's going to be led by Chuck Schumer of New York, who had an easy time returning to the Senate. We're just going to go through these. Jerry Moran in Kansas. John Hoeven, North Dakota. Getting these as you're seeing them. John Thune going back to the Senate from South Dakota. He had an interesting history with Donald Trump during this campaign. John Boozman, Arkansas. Georgia, it's going to be Johnny Isakson. In Iowa, the longtime KG Republican veteran Chuck Grassley going back. And Mike Lee, the popular Republican, is going back from Utah. Here's the Senate again. Democrats with one net gain. But this is early.
Yeah, but the Senate races that are outstanding right now are a bunch of fascinating ones. In Missouri, I believe our characterization in Missouri with Roy Blunt trying to return to the Senate, the Republican, against a Democratic challenger named Jason
Closings, there they are in gold. We've gone all the way out west, and here we go up the side of the building. In the Golden State, in California, the projected winner is Hillary Clinton. Note the electoral votes, 55. In the state of Washington, Hillary Clinton, the projected winner. In the state of Oregon in the Pacific Northwest, Hillary Clinton, the projected winner. In the state of Hawaii, 4 electoral votes, Hillary Clinton, the projected winner. In Idaho, interesting race, as we've been saying, Donald Trump, the predicted winner, 4 electoral votes. Here is the bar graph to 270. Here is the math. Right now, Hillary Clinton 209 to Donald Trump's 172. More on that as we continue. Down on home ice. In this road to 270, unmistakable color patterns, but a West Coast bulwark with this 11 p.m. Eastern time poll closing for Hillary Clinton.
It's interesting. At this poll closing, this is the first one where we've had all of the races called. We had no too close, no too early in the races that just closed right now at 11 o'clock. Also, no surprises. Had any of these been a surprise, it would have been seismic. But yes, Idaho is going to be red. The whole West Coast is going to be blue, including the island state of Hawaii. We only have one state left to close now, which is Alaska. That's the only state outstanding in terms of its poll closing. We're just waiting on states that are too early and too close to call.
Let's go to a Senate call on the wall here in the studio, and that's Ron Johnson
a big one.
Going back for the Republicans. The Democrats were quite confident that Mr. Feingold would be going back to the U.S. Senate. And, Chris, what's the quote you've been using all night? But you can't go home again.
You can't go home again. I think Feingold would have been a big surprise. I think historically he would have been the first person to defeat
Donald Trump is being awarded North Carolina.
Whoa. Well, that's a pitch.
Just came in 15 electoral votes. This makes all kinds of different paths even more interesting. There's the electoral race, 209, 187. Here it is in color.
we're going to have to start talking about the deer tracks again, the paths to 270 at this point.
Contiguous. It's still contiguous. Yeah. It's all red together there.
Well, yeah, if you're going to hike it, that's useful. Together. But in terms of who's going to be president, I want to know the numbers.
Together.
Hey, Lawrence O'Donnell, I want to hear from James Carville.
We've got James Carville.
Call the state of Florida. What we are terming the apparent winner, Donald Trump. In the state of Florida, 29 electoral votes. The apparent winner terminology. Here is the electoral math. 216 Trump, 209 Clinton. The race for 270, here's how it plays out visually. So much talk about the paths to 270. Who merely wanted Florida?
Right now,
who needed it? We have another call back-to-back. Utah, Trump, 6 electoral votes. The projected winner in Utah. Here we go. 222, 209. Back down to the ice we go for the depiction in color. Red and blue.
Well, still connects.
And the remaining gray.
In terms of the swing states tonight and how they have gone, we've got Hillary Clinton, just in terms of swing states and battlegrounds tonight, prevailing in Virginia, in Colorado, in New Mexico. We've got Donald Trump prevailing, according to NBC News projections, Donald Trump prevailing in North Carolina, Ohio, and Florida.
I need to interrupt with another one. Trump wins Iowa, the projected winner in Iowa. We've had a flurry of projections here. 6 more electoral votes for Donald Trump this evening. 228, 209.
Again, the number that you're going for here is 270. That's the number of electoral votes that you need in order to win the presidency.
It's too early for me to think about anything like that.
We got to call him. Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me.
In the state of Georgia, one of the earliest to close, one of the latest to be called. Donald Trump, the projected victor there, 16 electoral votes. A lot of talk that the Democrats would be able to convert that. As you see our chart, 244, 209 in the electoral votes. And down on the board, it is a continued march of Republican red, sweeping the American South. Chris?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, you still on? Okay, we lost him. Well, there you go. That map of red is continuous. It's contiguous.
Let's go out to Nevada, where Harry Reid is vacating his Senate seat, and where the Democrats had the chance to have the first Latina woman in the U.S. Senate, and they appear to have done so. It was tight all the way. Joe Heck, his fortunes kind of rose and fell, and tonight they fell just enough for the Democrats to hold a net hold of this seat. We're going to take a break. We'll have more of our live coverage when we come back. We are back, and we wanted to just take stock of the states that have yet to be called. Pennsylvania and its 20 electoral votes still too close to call. Michigan is also on that list, as is Arizona, still too close to call. Upper Midwest includes Wisconsin. We just had a projection. This is a call interrupting our list. Hillary Clinton is the projected winner in Nevada with its 6 electoral votes. Here is where that leaves us. 244, 215. Trump over Clinton. And here's what the map looks like with the pickup of Nevada for the Clinton campaign. You see the coastal argument people have been making. It's pretty hard to Eastern time.
Yeah.
We have a call on the Missouri Senate race. It's really attracted so much attention. The Democrats thought they could eke out a pickup this race, as I was saying earlier, on pure technical grounds. Probably gave us the craftiest ad of this campaign. The gentleman on the right, Jason Kander, the Democrat who has gone down in defeat, showed that he could assemble an AR-15 blindfolded, as countless members of the U.S. Armed Forces and law enforcement can do. But it was about guns as an issue in this race, and one ad does not a Senate race or a wave election make. And so it's a net hold for the Republicans. But Mr. Blunt, the veteran Republican from Missouri, always an interesting political state, is going back to the Senate. Steve Kornacki, having forged an alliance with his technology, is back at the board. Steve, record keep on this Senate race in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
We've
please.
talked about Pennsylvania so much, and the incumbent is going back. Pat Toomey. Chris Matthews is shaking his head
because of all the predictions I got from the experts up there. Toomey, but I did get a good call from, and James knows Pennsylvania very well. He's won many races up there. People like Rendell, the governor would say, who works with us now, said that Hillary would have to win by 4.
Maine, we have a projection. Maine, it is being projected by NBC News, will be won by Hillary Clinton when all the votes are cast. 3 out of the 4 electoral votes.
So that means we are not projecting the separate congressional district that.
No.
Okay.
Donald Trump gets 1.
Okay.
So you'll
Got
note his total has grown by 1. What a fascinating and confusing and terrific.
So to be clear,
Yes.
to be clear,
Yeah.
Maine, one of the electoral votes in Maine goes to Trump. The remaining electoral votes
Yes.
in Maine go to Hillary
We're
Clinton.
working on a new graphic that says she gets most of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. We haven't explained our decision desk, but this is important. We'll get to that after we show you this decision. Lisa Murkowski, the incumbent, that's a net hold in Alaska. And here's what that means. The larger graphic, the Senate at this hour, Democrats +1, Republican control of the Senate. This is what we've been talking about all night. If Trump goes on to victory and the White House, if this holds as we believe it will, as our early evening projection of the House Republican control holds as we think it will, all 3 branches. And so, as Chris Matthews and others have been talking about tonight, those people who were motivated to cast their vote for the Supreme Court, among other issues. And here's another projection. Alaska, we are projecting when all the votes are counted, we'll go to Donald Trump. 3 electoral votes. You think 3 electoral votes, small peanuts, don't matter? Look at what they do to your total when they push you up to 248 versus 218. A word about our national map. Here's the reds and the blues. And notice that landmass out in the Pacific with the Aleutian Islands trail. As Donald Trump spoke, you might have seen the graphic change at the bottom of the screen after declaring him the apparent winner in Wisconsin, after declaring him the apparent winner in Pennsylvania. NBC News is projecting that Donald Trump has indeed been elected president of these United States.
Pennsylvania. The collar counties, these are the 4 counties that surround suburban Philadelphia, voter-rich, swing state voters, Delaware County, Montgomery County, Bucks County, Chester County. She won those counties. She swept those counties. Not only that, but Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
They know how to get the vote out for their candidates across the board, including Ron Johnson, the senator, who had an upset victory, winning his seat back. Very few thought that could happen. Today.
You are watching MSNBC. Just minutes ago, NBC called the state of Minnesota. Hillary Clinton taking it with 10 electoral college votes. It does not change the outcome. The apparent winner, according to NBC, Hillary Clinton in the state of Minnesota. I am, of course, not just looking at the map. I'm looking at the clock because we are 1 minute away.
Louisiana. The race for that Republican-held seat is going to go to a runoff, as it always does. Top 2 in that general primary. It is Republican. Sometimes
Hampshire has yet to be called by NBC. NBC News projects now that Democrat Maggie Hassan is the apparent winner over Senator Kelly Ayotte. But in the states that Clinton...
State of California sending its Attorney General Kamala Harris to the Senate. Harris was an Indian mother and Jamaican father, will be the first Indian American and the second African American woman to serve. Harris defeated fellow Democrat Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez to replace the retiring